What happens when a self-made CEO walks into one of his own shops and realizes the problem isn't the business, it's the people inside? Quentin Barnes leaned back in his chair, staring at the financial reports spread across his desk. 13 ice cream shops across 3 states, all built from scratch. Most were thriving, but one location, Store 7 in downtown Phoenix, had been underperforming for months. Sales were down. Online reviews were brutal. A few complaints mentioned rude staff, long waits, and messed up orders. His district manager blamed the area and high turnover, but Quentin wasn't buying it. He had never met the staff there. That shop had opened during the expansion phase when he was focused on launching stores 10 through 13. He had hired a local manager, gave them control, and trusted the process. Maybe too much. This time, he needed to see it for himself. So he shaved his beard, dyed his hair a sandy brown, and wore thick-rimmed glasses. New name tag, Cal. He put on a touristy t-shirt, cargo shorts, and sneakers. He didn't tell anyone, not even his assistant. He booked a flight and flew out that same weekend. Sunday afternoon, the shop was busy. It was 97 degrees outside. Families were lined up out the door. Quentin joined the line, watching. A tall girl behind the counter rolled her eyes between customers. Her name tag said Vanessa. She looked barely 20. Another guy, maybe in his 30s, was scooping cones silently. A third employee, a girl with bright blue hair, leaned against the back wall, trying to look invisible. Vanessa took an order from a mom and her daughter. The mom smiled and asked, "Is there a birthday discount today?" Vanessa didn't even look up. "No, that's not a thing. Next." The kid looked crushed. The mom hesitated but moved aside. Quentin stepped up next. "Hi there," he said, cheerful. Vanessa didn't smile. "What do you want?" He paused. I'll do a waffle cone, 2 scoops. Cookies and cream and pistachio." $6.75, she said. He handed her a $10 bill. She punched it in, took the money, and turned around. Quentin watched her closely as she dropped the coins into the tip jar, then paused and quickly scooped out a handful of bills and slipped them into her apron pocket. He blinked. Did that just happen? She handed him his cone without a word. "Thanks," he said slowly. She didn't respond. Quentin walked to the corner table. He sat down, watching her. Over the next 15 minutes, he saw it again. Every few customers, she'd drop a few bills into the jar, then take more out when she thought no one was watching. The guy scooping ice cream noticed once. His eyes locked with Quentin's. There was a flicker of something: anger, guilt, fear, but he didn't say anything. Quentin finished his cone and left. Back at the hotel, he sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing his face. He'd seen enough, but he couldn't stop thinking about the girl who took the tips, and the guy who saw it and said nothing, and the kid whose birthday got dismissed like trash. He had built this company on kindness, on good service, on doing the right thing even when no one was watching. And now someone was stealing from customers, in broad daylight. The next morning, he walked into the store at 9 a.m., sharp before opening. This time, he didn't wear a disguise. Vanessa was behind the counter, scrolling on her phone. The guy from yesterday was setting up cones. The blue-haired girl was refilling napkin dispensers. They all looked up when he walked in. The guy blinked. Can I help you?" Quentin looked around, then said clearly, "I'm Quentin Barnes. I own this place." Vanessa's phone slipped from her hand and hit the counter. He waited. No one spoke. He took a breath. "We need to talk." None of them spoke. Vanessa's eyes darted to the exit, then back to Quentin. The man near the cones stood frozen with his hands at his sides. The girl by the napkins shifted her weight, staring at the floor. Quentin shut the door behind him and locked it. "We're closed until noon," he said flatly. No customers, no deliveries, just us. Vanessa crossed her arms. Why are you here? He ignored the question. What are your names? The man cleared his throat. Derek. The girl by the napkins answered quietly. Jessa. Vanessa hesitated, then said nothing. Quentin looked at her. You want to try that again? She rolled her eyes. Vanessa. He turned back to Derek. How long have you been here? Almost a year. You full-time? Yeah, open most days. You the manager? No, that's he stopped himself. Quentin caught it. Go ahead, that's who. Laurie, she's off Mondays. He turned to Vanessa. And you? She shrugged. I've been here a couple months. I work afternoons, sometimes mornings if they need me. He nodded slowly, then looked to Jessa. How about you? Since February, I'm part-time. Quentin walked around the counter, inspecting the workspace. The floor behind the freezer was sticky. A mop leaned against the wall, dry. The register drawer was sitting open. The tip jar was half full, mostly coins. He turned back to them. Has anyone been trained here in the last 6 months? Derek answered. Not really. Laurie usually just tells people to shadow someone for a shift, then they're on their own. Vanessa snorted. Or she doesn't show up at all and you're stuck figuring it out while customers yell at you. Quentin raised an eyebrow. So she's rarely here. Vanessa nodded. Maybe 2 days a week, sometimes less. He looked at Derek. And you're here most mornings? Yeah, I usually open with whoever's scheduled. Sometimes just by myself if someone calls out. Quentin turned to Jessa. What about you? What's your schedule like? I get called in last minute all the time. I go to school, so I usually do nights or weekends. But if someone doesn't show up, Laurie texts me like an hour before and expects me to drop everything. Do you? She hesitated, then nodded. I need the money. Quentin leaned on the counter. Let's talk about yesterday afternoon. Vanessa's jaw tightened. He continued. I stood in line, got a cone, watched the room for about 20 minutes. I saw enough. Vanessa's face hardened. If you're going to accuse me of something, just say it. Fine. I saw you take cash from the tip jar and put it in your apron. It was mine. Not all of it. You don't know that. Quentin looked at Derek. You saw it too. Derek looked away. Yes. Did you say anything? No. Why not? Derek's mouth opened, then closed. It's not my business. I'm just trying to get through my shift. Quentin stared at him. That is your business. It's everyone's. He looked at Vanessa again. You've got 2 options. Admit what you did and walk out, or lie to me and make this worse. Vanessa folded her arms tighter. I'm not staying here to get talked down to. You're not staying here at all. You're done. She scoffed. You can't just fire me like that. I can, and I just did. She looked around, expecting someone to back her up. No one moved. She grabbed her phone from the counter. Whatever, this place sucks anyway. She walked out. Quentin waited until the door shut. Then he turned back to Derek and Jessa. Either of you ever taken money that wasn't yours? They both shook their heads. He nodded. Good, now let's figure out what's actually going on here. They spent the next hour walking through the store front, back, break room, freezer, dry storage. The thermostat in the back was broken, stuck at 85 degrees. The freezer fan was clogged with dust. The employee restroom had no soap. A stack of shift schedules was pinned to the wall, half were scratched out and rewritten in pen. Quentin pointed at them. These change every week. Jessa nodded. Sometimes the night before. Check the board every time I come in because it's never what Lori says it'll be. He turned to Derek. How many people work here? Derek counted silently. 6, including the manager, but one quit last week and another girl's on vacation. So 4 now. Yeah. Covering 7 days a week. Sometimes we're open with 2 people, one if someone doesn't show. Quentin rubbed his jaw. How's inventory handled? Lori does it, or says she does, but sometimes we run out of stuff and she blames us for not telling her. Do you ever see her place orders? No. Have you ever been short on pay? Derek hesitated. A couple times my hours didn't match my check. I told Lori, she said she'd fix it, still waiting. Quentin looked at Jessa. You too. She nodded, same thing. He stepped back behind the counter and stared at the register. Who counts the drawer at the end of the day? Usually Lori, or she tells one of us to do it and text her the number. Quentin blinked. She doesn't verify it in person. Nope. He exhaled slowly. We're shutting down for the day. You'll both get paid. Go home, be back here tomorrow morning, 9 sharp. Derek looked uncertain. What's happening? I'm cleaning house, starting now. That afternoon, Quentin pulled the district manager off all Arizona stores. He called corporate and froze the store's account. Then he drove across town and knocked on Lori's apartment door. She opened it, holding a phone and wearing pajama pants. Her face went pale when she saw him. You're Lori. She nodded slowly. I'm Quentin Barnes. She swallowed. I was going to call you. Don't bother. He handed her a printed termination letter. You're done. She barely glanced at it. Can I? No. She stood frozen as he turned and walked away. That night, he booked a longer stay. Tomorrow, he'd meet the remaining staff, fix the schedule, order supplies, mop the floor, whatever it took. He wasn't leaving until this place was something worth being proud of again. By 8:45 the next morning, Quentin was already inside the store, sleeves rolled up, a clipboard resting on the counter. The air conditioning tech was crouched under the rear thermostat panel, tools spread across the floor. The freezer fan had been cleaned out at dawn. He'd placed fresh soap dispensers in the restroom and ordered a professional deep cleaner to come after hours. When Derek and Jessa walked in, both paused in the doorway. You're early, Jessa said. So are you, replied Quentin, gesturing to the counter. Perfect timing. I want you both involved in what comes next. They nodded, stepping behind the counter, unsure but attentive. Quentin held up the clipboard. We're going to make a real schedule, one that doesn't change at the last minute. I want to know your availability, your class times, and what hours you actually want. Jessa hesitated. You mean, like what we prefer? Yes, Quentin said. We'll still need coverage, but I'm not building this around chaos anymore. Derek exhaled. That's new. They spent the next 20 minutes mapping it out. Jessa had evening classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Derek preferred mornings. Neither of them wanted more than 5 consecutive days. Quentin made sure no one was working open to close again. As they finished, a short, stocky man with a buzz cut walked in wearing a gray polo and cargo pants. He gave Jessa a quick nod and turned to Quentin. You the guy I'm meeting? Quentin stood. Depends, you here for the maintenance job? Yes, Miguel, I got the call this morning. Perfect, you'll be doing weekly walkthroughs and equipment checks. I'll walk you through today's list. After that, Jessa will be your point of contact. Miguel raised an eyebrow. She's in charge. She's going to be, Quentin replied. Jessa blinked. Wait, what? You've got the right instincts, he said. You see problems, you don't ignore them, you're calm under pressure. I'm making you team lead, not a manager yet, but we'll get there. Derek looked over, surprised. Jess's mouth opened slightly. I've never. You'll learn, Quentin said, and you'll have help. I'm not handing you the mess just walked into, but I'm not babysitting either. Jessa nodded slowly, still processing. They walked Miguel through the back room and freezer while Derek prepared for opening. By 10:30, the shop was clean, cool, and fully stocked. Quentin brewed fresh coffee and placed a donation box near the register labeled Local Kids Summer Fund with a clear explanation taped above it. He wanted to reset the tone. The first customer came in at 10:45, a man with 2 young boys. The boys pointed excitedly at the menu board, laughing. Jessa greeted them with a small but genuine smile, scooped their cones, and handed them over without a flinch. By noon, the shop had a steady line. Quentin stepped back, watching. Derek moved with quiet efficiency, checking stock levels and wiping counters between orders. Jessa handled questions, scooped with precision, and when a child dropped his cone, offered a free replacement without hesitation. Quentin leaned against the back wall, arms folded, and just watched. At one point, a woman in her 50s came in, arms crossed. Is Lori here? Quentin stepped forward. She no longer works here. I'm the owner. The woman's expression changed. I'm her sister. Quentin nodded, understood. She said she was fired for no reason. I saw things myself. It wasn't hearsay. She's struggling, you know. I'm sorry to hear that, but this store's going to be something better. I couldn't let what I saw continue. The woman stared at him for a moment, then left without another word. By late afternoon, the line had calmed. Quentin called both employees to the front. You're going to get one more staff member. I'll be here through the weekend to help train whoever we hire. Derek looked at him. Can I ask something? Go ahead. Why didn't you send someone else to deal with this? You own 13 shops. 12 now, Quentin corrected. Sold 1 last month, and I came because stopped trusting filtered information. Jessa said, you saw everything in one day. I saw enough, but what matters is what happens next. Just then, a tall girl stepped through the door. She wore a black hoodie despite the heat and had a hesitant posture. Her eyes scanned the room before landing on Quentin. He recognized her instantly. Vanessa. She walked slowly to the counter. Can I talk to you? Jessa and Derek exchanged glances. Quentin nodded once. Step outside. They stood near the sidewalk, just out of earshot. Vanessa looked down. I didn't come to yell or argue. All right. I messed up, I know it. He didn't respond. I took cash, I shouldn't have. I was angry and broke and just didn't care. Why now? I saw the store's page this morning. New photos, positive reviews, people saying it felt different. I thought maybe someone else took over. I did, fully. She nodded. I didn't come to ask for my job back. I just wanted to say I get it now. Quentin studied her. You had chances to say something before. I know. People like you drain good workers. You make them choose between staying quiet or becoming the bad guy. I wasn't thinking about anyone else, she admitted. I just didn't want to feel small anymore. Quentin looked past her into the shop. You're not the first person I've fired, but you're the first who came back. She looked up. I'm not rehiring you, he said, but if you want a reference, I'll give you one. Honest, you showed up today, that matters. She nodded, eyes glassy. Thanks. He watched her walk away, then turned and went back inside. Jessa handed him a clipboard, inventory list. I updated it. Good. Derek leaned on the counter. You think she meant it. I think she realized people are paying attention now. That evening, Quentin stayed past close. He cleaned the machine hoses himself, showed Jessa how to track batch numbers on the dairy deliveries, and helped Derek set up a new stock rotation system. At 11, the three of them locked the door and stepped into the quiet street. You ever going undercover again? Derek asked. Probably. Jessa chuckled. You're not exactly forgettable. I'll change my shirt next time, Quentin said. They laughed softly as they split off in different directions. He didn't need to say it, but they all felt it. Something had shifted. Friday morning, Quentin arrived earlier than usual. The sidewalk out front was still damp from the overnight cleaning crew he'd hired. The sun hadn't fully cleared the rooftops yet, but the air was already warming. Inside, the lights were on, the machines humming, and a quiet energy pulsed through the space. Derek was behind the counter, organizing the day's float with sharp precision. You're early, Quentin said, setting down a box of printed materials. Derek looked up, wanted to double-check the inventory before deliveries start. Freezers holding steady, and I moved the extra cups to the front shelf. Quentin nodded. Keep doing that. When you're ready, I want you training new hires. Derek blinked once. Me. You've got the calmest hands I've seen behind a counter in years. That's teachable. I'll get you time off the floor to shadow the onboarding process next week. Derek didn't say much, but his posture shifted more upright, less guarded. By mid-morning, a handful of customers were already seated, some reading, others quietly chatting over cones. The air conditioning was steady, the background music low and warm. Jessa walked in carrying a narrow box with two hands. Uniform polos came in, she said, setting them on the counter. Good, Quentin said. Let's start phasing those in this weekend. Let customers know we're taking things seriously. She pulled one out deep navy blue with a small stitched logo on the chest, and the store's name printed just below. These look sharp, she said. They should, Quentin replied. The goal isn't to look fancy, it's to look united. He walked to the back, opened a cabinet, and removed a sealed envelope. He returned to the counter and handed it to Jessa. Your first raise, effective today. Paper copy for your records. Jessa opened it slowly, scanning the contents before folding it back up. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, just keep leading by example. She held the envelope in one hand, nodding. An older couple entered the store, and Jessa slid instinctively behind the counter, putting on gloves. Derek followed without needing instruction. Their rhythm was clean, deliberate, no wasted movement, no tension. At noon, Quentin stepped outside to take a call. When he returned, a young man with a clipboard was seated near the front window, watching the service intently. Quentin approached him. You must be from the training program. The man stood. Yes, sir, Malik. I spoke with your office yesterday. Let's get you situated. You'll trail Derek this afternoon, Jessa tomorrow. If it goes well, you'll be on the weekend schedule. Malik nodded. Sounds good. Jessa walked over and handed Malik a folded apron. We're short on gloves in medium. Use smalls for now. They're snug but manageable. Malik took the apron and followed Derek to the prep station. Quentin stepped back, watching how naturally the handoff occurred. No hesitation, no friction. Later that afternoon, a delivery van pulled up. The new signage had arrived: clean fonts, updated branding, a customer-first message printed on the lower panel, handcrafted, honest, human. As the installer mounted the new facade, a few passers-by paused to watch. One woman stepped in, ordered a cone, and commented on how the place felt different. Quentin stood near the register, arms crossed, listening. Used to come here last year, she said. Felt chaotic. This This feels like a whole different thing. He gave a small nod. That's the goal. The woman smiled and left. By 5, the line was steady. Malik had settled into a support role, running orders, restocking toppings, and watching how Derek handled customer questions. Jessa had taken over register duty, her voice steady, her tone gentler than it had been even 2 days earlier. Near closing, Quentin gathered everyone in the back. "Quick huddle," he said, wiping his hands on a towel. They formed a loose circle. Derek, Jessa, Malik, and Miguel, who'd returned to double-check the AC levels. Quentin looked around. "You've each done something that matters this week. Not flashy, not dramatic, just right." He turned to Miguel. "No more broken fans or warm storage." Miguel nodded. "Everything's logged. I've got a checklist you'll get every Tuesday." To Malik, "You ask smart questions. You didn't rush. That's how you learn." To Derek, "You took ownership without being told. That's rare." And finally, to Jessa, "You stepped into a role you didn't ask for. You didn't flinch. That's leadership." She glanced down, then back up, saying nothing. "I'm heading back to headquarters tomorrow," Quentin continued. "But this place stays on the radar. Weekly check-ins, surprise visits, not as a threat, as support." He placed a folder on the table. "That's the new structure. Pay transparency, promotion paths, expectations, it's yours now." Derek looked at the folder, then at Jessa. "You're really leaving it to us." Quentin nodded. "You fix something by being present. You keep it fixed by trusting the right people." He turned toward the back door, then paused, pulling out one more envelope from his pocket. "Almost forgot," he said, handing it to Derek. "That's your raise, same effective date as Jessa's." Derek didn't open it. He just held it, nodding once. Quentin left the shop quietly through the side exit. The next morning, he boarded a flight back to California. As the plane climbed through the cloud cover, he took out his notebook and wrote one line at the top of a fresh page. "Leadership isn't about telling people what to do. It's about showing them who they are." And for the first time in months, he felt like he was running a company again. Not from a corner office, but from the ground up, where it actually mattered.